Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you please join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to ask Charlie Pina, please, to join us or lead us in the evening prayer. It's Charlie. There he is. Oop. Thank you, Charlie.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the blessings that we have received. We thank you for Rotary and those who service above shelf. Today, we honor Bill Fuller, who helped and worked throughout the local charitables, as he has done for so many in the town of Middleborough. And now, Father, we just pray that thou will just bless the many that are here. Father, we just ask to bless the food for the nourishment of our body. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Charlie. And please make yourselves comfortable. At this time, I'd like to invite Daniel Medeiros, who's our Vocational Services Chairman, to the podium to begin the event of the evening. So without any delay, Daniel.
Good evening, everyone. We're gathered here tonight to present our 26th Annual Vocational Excellence and Community Service Award to a non-Rotarian. And what is a yearly tradition, this presentation is made to a business owner or professional in recognition for vocational excellence, the practice of high ethical standards, and active community involvement. All past recipients are mentioned every year at this presentation because that is but a small token of appreciation and acknowledgement for all that they have contributed over the years to our area towns of Middleborough and Lakeville. They've all played a very important part in the ongoing growth and enhancement of our two towns over the years. And they've all evolved from a broad range of vocational backgrounds, which have included education, the performing arts, financial, law enforcement, manufacturing, retail and wholesale businesses, and various service-type entities. Our past selectees include Steve Stanley, Richard Fickett, Bill McLeod, Bill Warner, Darlene Donnelly, Joel Seamus, Mary Georgian, Ted Delarocco, Lorna Burnell, Dave Fisher, Harry Pickering, John Mirando, Harold and Donald Atkins, Bruce Atwood, and humbly yours truly. Prior recipients who have passed on are Alton and Eunice Kramer, Dave Reed, John Scanlon, Joe Macy, Tiger Nichols, Dr. Lincoln Lynch, the twins Bessie Boyle and Demi Williams, Judge Robert Anderson, Lorenzo Grosso, and Sarah Georgian, all honorees who will never be forgotten. This year's recipient, William Herbert Fuller, has been a lifelong resident of our community. Born on August 2nd, 1965, at St. Luke's Hospital in Middleborough, he was the firstborn to Carolyn and Leon Fuller, with a younger brother Rick, who soon followed several years later in 1969. Growing up on Plymouth Street in East Middleborough, Bill was very active as a youngster and thoroughly enjoyed his childhood years, and especially his pet dog, Trooper. At an early age, he exhibited a love for sports. He played midget football under the Mitchell Memorial Club program and Little League Baseball for the police and fire department team. On the diamond, he excelled as a catcher and made several of their all-star teams, with his 1978 squad finishing second amongst 40 area teams in the Stoughton Police Athletic League tournament. Bill also early on exhibited a strong work ethic. In his teenage years, he held part-time jobs which included Howard Johnson's restaurant on Route 24 in Bridgewater in Country Meats and Deli and Ken Shaw's Wholesale Foods located in Middleborough. Bill was educated in the Middleborough public school system from kindergarten right through to grade 12. He was a well-rounded student with regards to scholastics, athletics, and extracurricular activities, and exhibited leadership skills at an early age that earned him the respect of his fellow students as well as his teachers. He served as president of his junior high class and as president of the student council. He played drums in the band and was one of 4 elite students representing Middleborough Junior High who achieved first place in an annual Bowl of Knowledge competition against area schools which included Bridgewater and Old Rochester. Upon his graduation from 8th grade, he was presented with the Outstanding Student Service Award, received his Knowledge Bowl Award, and the Denise Dunham Award for Outstanding Salesmanship during the school's annual magazine drive. You could foresee back then that Bill was going to be a good salesman, and a very bright and convincing one at that. During Bill's 4 years at Middleborough High School, he again continued to exhibit his well-rounded abilities, and to highlight just a few, he served as class president his freshman and senior years, was selected for Silver M in his junior year, and served as his treasurer in his senior year, and was a member of both the class council and student council, as well as the yearbook staff. He was a durable catcher for the varsity baseball team, also serving as his co-captain in his senior year, and was a hard-nosed offensive lineman and defensive linebacker for the varsity football team, the highlight of which was winning the South Shore League large school title in his junior year and upsetting a highly favored Wareham High football team 7-6 in his senior year. The respect of his 216 fellow students was duly noted in his senior year in 1983, when he was not only elected as its class president, but was also voted as being the most popular and best all-around classmate. And in what was an enlightening true indicator of what was to be down the line in the years ahead, next to his high school yearbook senior class picture, he wrote that his ambition was to own his own business, to become rich, and to settle down and raise a family. But first, Bill had to go to college. He was accepted at Westfield State, where he settled in for 4 years of higher educational learning. Bill did very well academically there, and also found the time to try out for the collegiate football team. He was certainly not the biggest player out there, but with true grit, toughness, and determination, traits that would serve him well in his later vocational years, he made the team as an offensive lineman and started all 4 years. In fact, he was selected to the All-New England Conference football team for several years and honored as a Division III football All-American his senior year. Bill also worked part-time as a bartender during his college years to help finance his way through school. He had initially learned the trade at the Middleborough Lodge of Elks, where he worked summers and during college vacation periods, and found job opportunities in the Westfield State area when he was at school. Through all his activities, though, Bill still focused primarily on his academics. Going into his 4th year, he had the highest grade point average on the football team of 3.24. And based upon athletic and academic considerations, he was awarded a coveted full tuition scholarship for his senior year. Bill was a Dean's List student, and in his senior year, he was an academic All-American, selected for who's who among students at American universities and colleges. He graduated magna cum laude with a Bachelor of Science degree in Regional Planning and Urban Development in 1987. Bill immediately came back to his roots in Middleborough and embarked on a goal to become a successful and independent businessman. Starting in 1987, he worked as a salesman for Prudential Insurance, but within 18 months, he secured accreditation as a registered financial advisor and planner and became self-employed. He works as an independent broker with office space located at the Anderson Cushion Insurance Agency in Middleborough, advising both individual and commercial clients about investments, estate planning, retirement, and insurance coverage. Bill became well known as a service-oriented licensed professional who listened to the needs of his customers and who built up a clientele that knew him to be knowledgeable and trustworthy. In fact, his expertise became so well known that for a period of time, he authored a weekly Money Talk column in the Middleborough Gazette, whereby he offered information on a variety of financial topics based on questions submitted by the readers. Being a well-motivated and energetic individual, Bill also engaged in some other part-time business ventures. For several years, he and his brother Rick operated a business called Acker Inc. They owned several trucks and offered personal services such as power washing, painting, and landscaping. Bill also continued to work part-time as a bartender. And on December 30th, 1989, while working at a wedding reception in Taunton, he met the love of his life. A young lady from Brockton named Stephanie Mackinac. Although she wasn't a big tipper, it was love at first sight. They courted for 4.5 years, and this past June 3rd, they celebrated 24 years of marital bliss, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is certainly worthy of a round of applause. Bill has a keen and insightful eye for business ventures. He can look at an opportunity, identify what needs to be done to make it into a viable reality, and go about and develop it into a profitable entity. One specific example is the Central Cafe, an historic milestone in the downtown Middleborough area. For over 70 years. It had fallen into disrepair, along with neighborhood concerns, and closed due to bankruptcy in 1994. Venturing around the property and visualizing what it could possibly become again, Bill, along with a co-investor, acquired the property, assets, and business name at foreclosure in 1995. The cafe was completely restored to its original appearance. The 6 apartments above were reconfigured and renovated into 4 more spacious units. And working with the Middleborough Downtown Partnership sign and facade program, the exterior of the restaurant was also completely refurbished. Due in large part to Bill's extraordinary efforts, the Central Cafe is once again a mainstay in the downtown area. And along with efforts from managing partner Mark Hannon, it is a comfortable, friendly atmosphere where friends and families can come in and enjoy an inexpensive meal, whether it be appetizers, sandwiches, dinners, or their time-honored delicious pizzas, which is continually rated each year as the best in town. Never one to rest at his laurels, and always looking for new business ventures, in 1995, Bill established the Professional Bartending Service of New England, a licensed beverage catering company. He started out servicing small functions at the local level, and through a strong and tireless work ethic, he quickly expanded his business through insightful advertising in venues such as the Yellow Pages and the internet, as well as through word of mouth from satisfied customers. Because of Bill's job dedication, professionalism, and honesty with his clients, his highly successful company has continually grown to the extent that he now employs 30 part-time bartenders, all of whom are given on-the-job professional training, and a fleet of trucks that can support concurrent multiple events throughout the New England area. And these functions run the gamut from corporate events, university and college functions, and charitable fundraisers, to private parties, weddings, anniversaries, and birthday celebrations. Bill was also a successful real estate developer and investor. He has restored, rebuilt, or renovated a number of downtown buildings in Middleborough. In doing so, he has worked closely with the various town committees, and he's been extremely sensitive to the need to preserve the character in the business area and National Register district. He acquired all of the 4 commercial properties on Thatcher's Row, renovating and replacing all the historic buildings along the way, and transforming Thatcher's Row back to a well-maintained and beautiful walkway that connects the town hall to the downtown area. In the downtown area, Bill also acquired the American Legion building on South Main Street and converted the second floor space into a yoga studio and a loft-style apartment. And last but not least, when Bill was transporting 2 of his daughters to Lorna Burnell's Birtwood School of Performing Arts on Anderson Avenue in 2009, he noticed the cramped quarters and limited areas. Accordingly, he approached Lorna one day to see if she would be interested in leasing expanded space, which she certainly was. So Bill went to work and finalized the acquisition of the former Shaw's Furniture Store and Print Shop on Center Street in downtown Middleborough. He renovated and reconstructed it according to Lorna's needs and specifications, with expanded new classrooms, a recording studio, a business office, and a 100-seat facility now known as the Alley Theater. In 2010, Lorna was able to move into a beautiful building which greatly enhanced not only her business operations, but also enhanced the downtown area. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt that Bill Fuller is certainly a highly successful businessman, self-made businessman. And he's a prime example of what you can achieve in this country through hard work, due diligence, and perseverance. All of his successful business enterprises and investments are a result of these factors, as well as his exhibited integrity, job dedication, and positive customer, vendor, employee relationships. And beyond Bill's exemplary vocational service activities is the fact that he's a civic-minded individual who's played a very important part in our community. Certainly, he has helped create many jobs for our local townspeople and enhanced our economy through his various business ventures. But it goes well beyond that. As I've quickly learned in the short period of time that I have known Bill, he's an outgoing and gregarious individual. But he's also a very humble man when it comes to the many charitable and civic-minded activities that he's been involved in over the years. that very few people know about, both individually and through his many business entities. For example, with regards to Bill's well-respected beverage catering company, he has serviced numerous nonprofit fundraising events throughout the years, many on an annual basis, not only at the local level, such as the Soul Homestead, at the Town Hall for the Middleborough Friends, and at the Brentwood School of Performing Arts, just to name a few, but also throughout his entire geographical territory, such as for the March of Dimes, Target for Cancer, Voices of Hope, and Norwell Youth Football, just to name a few others. And for these charitable events, what Bill does is generously offer significant discounts such as net costs, which in turn substantially increase the monies raised for these fundraising activities. And he's also been known to make individual donations on his own for many of these worthy causes. Bill does this in an under-the-radar manner, neither asking for any accolades or publicity for his fine generosity. With regards to the Central Cafe, that business has a history of never turning away from any local fundraisers, generously donating items such as gift certificates or pizzas, or sponsoring holes for memorial or charitable golf tournaments. On an annual basis, they will buy ads to help finance local school yearbooks, which include Middleborough High School, Apponequet, Bristol, Plymouth, and Coyle High School. They also sponsor on a yearly basis a Little League team, a girls softball team, and contribute towards the Middleborough Special Needs Baseball Organization. With regards to Bill's real estate development and investment activity, he has stepped up to the plate and given a significant boost to the downtown area. His acquisitions, reconstructions, and renovations of all the properties on Thatcher's Row, of the American Legion building on South Main Street, and of the Central Cafe on Center Street have all contributed nicely towards the goal of downtown revitalization, along with the Brentwood School of Performing Arts and its adjoining Alley Theater, which now serves as the town's cultural hub. And it's nice to know that he did receive a Preservation Award in 2009 from the Middleborough Historical Commission for exemplary efforts in preserving the building and historic landscape on Thatcher's Row. He was also recognized at that time, along with his wife Stephanie, for transforming the former West Side School into his family home. The school, which had been built in 1894, had been vacant for 12 years, was in an extremely deplorable condition, was unsightly to the neighborhood, and was an albatross white elephant for the town of Middleborough, according to then town manager Jack Healy. So Bill came along, and being a renovator of neglected properties, he took it off the town's hands in the year 2000 for $17,730. With a clear vision of turning the 9,200 square foot building into a family home, even though a few local residents referred to it as Fuller's Follies, he quickly assembled his so-called dream team of local workers. The building was deconstructed where need be and completely renovated over a 2-year period, while retaining many of the interior architectural elements of the 19th century house. When the family moved into the property in 2004, it had been beautifully transformed into a spacious and comfortable modern family home. In fact, it was a showplace which was subsequently featured by New England Cable News in a 15-minute televised program outlining the massive renovation project. And the graciousness of the entire Fuller family was exhibited by their allowing a weekend open house for townspeople to come in and tour the home. For those who may not have realized it, this West Side School project of Bill's brought many positive benefits to the community. It enhanced the neighborhood properties and their values, eliminated a major headache to the school department, and brought in a taxable base for the town coffers. There are several other random examples of community or civic involvement that I would like to point out which personify the diversity of Bill's activities. He enjoys working with the youngsters and has generously given of his time to coach pee-wee, mites, and midget football over the years. He teaches not only the fundamentals of football, but also teaches the lifelong lessons of hard work, attentive listening, learning discipline, being a team player, and getting up after being knocked down, something we all experience in one way or another throughout our lifetime. As Bill mentioned to me, he's experienced much pride in seeing many of these children develop into productive young adults over the years. Bill is a longtime member and supporter of the Mitchell Memorial Club, a local nonprofit organization dedicated to the perpetuation of athletics, good sportsmanship, and active citizenship in the community. The esteem with which Bill is held in our town was noted in 2006 when he was appointed as a member of the board of directors of the Mayflower Bank and cited for his business acumen, experience, and community involvement. And finally, Bill does many civic or charitable endeavors behind the scenes which are unbeknownst to many. But just one small example being that he took it upon himself to renovate the gazebo at the town's park department when it was in badly need of repairs several years ago. Looking back 30 years, it has all come to fruition. That 1983 high school yearbook in which Bill's goals were to own his own business, he now owns at least 3 that I know of, to become rich, I'm not going to elaborate in that area, and to settle down and raise a family, which along with his wife Stephanie, he has certainly done in a commendable manner. All in all, there is no doubt that this year's selectee certainly exemplifies what our Rotary Club's vocational service goals are all about, in tune with our club motto of service above self, both as a businessman and as a community leader, and for his outstanding citizenship, his importance to the community, his worthy performance in his professions, and his strong family values. This fine man has rightfully earned the respect of our community, and there is no doubt that tonight's praise is certainly well-deserved. Therefore, on behalf of the Middleborough Rotary Club, I am very proud and very pleased to present our 26th Annual Outstanding Vocational Excellence and Community Service Award to Bill Fuller. We will now break for dinner and then continue with our evening festivities. I may have your attention. We're going to get going while dessert is being served, just in order to move the program along. I'd like to start out by introducing the head table. To my furthest right is Emma. Is Emma here? Emma. And Matthew Bruce. Matthew is our club president. And the other side of Matt is Bill's wife, Stephanie Fuller. And let's have another round of applause for our honoree, Bill Fuller. I'd now like to bring to the podium our club president, Matt Bruce, just for a brief overview of what our Rotary Club is all about.
Good evening, all. First, I also would like to extend congratulations to Bill and Stephanie as recipients for tonight. It's a tremendous honor, and it's great to get to know you at the table as well. I've really enjoyed this dinner and this opportunity. And thank you. And I also want to thank Danny Medeiros for all of his work. I don't think that there needs to be some... 25 years, do I understand this?
Yes, 25 years.
20?
I did my own last year.
Yeah, -1. He was a recipient last year, award recipient. But Danny's also a member of our club, the Rotary Club of Middleborough, and I just want to just briefly talk about what we do. If you're not familiar with Rotary, it is an international organization made up of about 1.2 million members, and we have just a vast array of charities that we work on and charities that we promote. And if you're familiar with, boy, where do I begin with this? There's so much. Let's see. Well, disaster relief is certainly one area that you'll see a lot of Rotary International working in right now, the Philippines. This is really newsworthy today of what's happened recently. Shelter Box is one of the Rotary charities helping families find shelter, especially in disaster relief. Rotary International works a lot with children's education, and that's one area that we also work on locally, and I'll talk a little bit about that with our club. We just recently created our own charity here in Middleborough called the Rotary Educational Assistance Project, and the goal for this project is to provide tutoring, one-on-one tutoring, if necessary, to students in this community in the areas of math, literacy, and science. And these are for families that either can't afford such services for their child or for the student, and also for those students that show need. So it's a tremendous program that we just began. We're excited about it. We have a tremendous club that's certainly very, very active in this community. And we also, you might have seen every year, we have the television auction, which is what we're probably most known for. And the proceeds from our television charitable auction, which is held here in Middleborough, proceeds go to scholarships for students in this town as well. And our club meets here. If you've seen the signs around town, you'll see the Rotary signs are pretty familiar. We actually meet here at this restaurant on Wednesday evenings at 6:15. And I would recommend for anyone here that would be interested in learning more about our club, I'd love to talk to them about it. And if I could ask just for a moment, all of our Rotarians here for this club, if they could just please stand to identify yourself in the audience. If I could just ask all Rotarians of the Middleborough Rotary Club to stand for a moment. This is our club, and these are some of the most active people you'd ever want to meet, certainly the most dedicated. So thank you all for all that you do. And to finish, I'm going to hand the podium back to Daniel to complete this evening and the work and what we have planned for you. And again, thank you all for attending this evening.
Thank you, Matt. For those of you who may not have noticed, we are videotaping this evening's presentation. Thanks to Lori Ashley. Lori, thank you very much. Doing a quality job. And it'll be televised over our local cable TV station sometimes in the near future. In addition, a copy of the tape will also be presented to Bill as a keepsake. So whatever he says tonight later on, you know, it's going to be taped. I'm now going to ask Bill to step forward for a moment to introduce his family members who are in attendance this evening, and this might take a while.
Yeah, I don't know my kids' names. My wife Stephanie. We gotta go around the horn. Which daughter's that one? That's my daughter Olivia. Please stand up. Sadie. Morgan. Willie. And Harry. Thanks very much. We have a very large extended family. It's basically this table, that table, and a few more in the back. My mom, Carol Fuller, right here, and my brother, Rick Fuller. I don't know anybody else's names, Dan. No. We're all set. Thank you.
One of the beneficial recipients of Bill's real estate development in the downtown Middleborough area, and also one of our club's past honorees back in 2006, is Lorna Burnell, who will now come forward to say a few words.
Hello. If you drove through the center of Middleborough not that long ago, you would have seen a lot of signs in the windows saying for sale or for rent. And thanks to Bill Fuller, things have certainly changed quite a bit down there. Project by project, building by building, Bill Fuller has redesigned the landscape of our community, leaving his signature tattoo on the blueprint of Middleborough. William Fuller is a visionary with a perfect eye for finding a diamond in the rough. Luckily for us, his hard work and perseverance have placed him in a position to take each diamond, polish it, and make sure that it sparkles. Although the light from his renovation projects shines brightly in our town, Bill prefers to stay out of the spotlight. He prefers to lead from the sidelines, quietly considering ways he can leave things better than the way he found them. His motivation to improve downtown Middleborough was simple. Bill wanted to revitalize and restore the streets that once bustled with activity. He recognized the overall positive impact that this would have on small businesses in our town, and would also encourage residents to socialize, shop, and dine locally. I placed some phone calls to just a few of the people who are running successful businesses in this town, thanks in part because Bill Fuller has offered them a beautiful place to hang their hat or set up shop. Headquarters on Thatcher's Row averages 70 clients a week. One door down, the American Legion averages foot traffic between 35 to 50 people a day. And around the corner, LJ's Barbershop has about 200 clients a week. The Alley Theater in the Burtwood School, just 1 block away from LJ's, averages 250 people a week and 300 additional people on a weekend. These few businesses alone have a combined annual total of over 41,000 customers in the downtown area every year in Middleborough. This does not include the foot traffic at the Central. When I reached out to Mark for a guesstimate on the foot traffic there, his head actually exploded. So Stephanie and I sort of tried to guesstimate together, and anyone who's tried to get into the Central on a Tuesday knows exactly what we mean. So thanks to Bill, his vision, and his willingness to protect the future of our community, close to 100,000 people a year are in Middleborough, buying gas, buying coffee, bottles of wine, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner, buying their birthday cards, their auto parts, and their gifts in the center of Middleborough. Thousands of adults are having their hair cut and their nails painted, while their children enjoy dance lessons and acting and singing. Thousands of people enjoy comedy shows, plays, musicals, and concerts, and cocktails and pizza in the center of our town. On the topic of pizza, if I lined up a slice of pizza donated by the Central Cafe for every time I called asking if we could have pizza for an event for the Children's Miracle Network or the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I swear I could literally wrap a bow around Middleborough over and over and over again, like 3 times, and that's a lot because we're the 2nd largest landmass in Massachusetts. Bill has never said no to anything we've ever asked for help with. In addition to his passion for renovating and restoration, he owns the Bartending Service of New England. Through this company, an additional 30 people in Middleborough in this area have jobs. That's another really cool thing about Bill Fuller. Whenever he can, he hires locally. Looking around the room tonight, I see Todd, I see Russell, I see George. I saw Coletti and Randall on site during the construction of the theater more than I did in high school. And of course, no project would be complete without Kenny Kroll. Bill recognizes the importance of keeping things local. One of the coolest moments I had recently was talking to one of the bartenders at an event at the theater, and she's really young, like in her young 20s, and she had just bought her first home in Middleborough, and she credited that milestone to her employment and working with the Bartending Service of New England, and I think that's really awesome. Over the past 3 years, I've hosted over 100 events at the theater with the Bartending Service of New England, and I've spent lots of hours sitting in the lobby while the shows are going on, talking to the different bartenders, and I've never once heard anyone who works for Bill mention an unkind word. In a day when people are quick to complain and slow to praise, the people who work with Bill admire him and are grateful for the team, knowing that Bill is their head coach. And it takes a really special type of business person to warrant this type of respect. Bill Fuller is a person who fixes what is broken and embraces the domino effect that results in positive change. He and his beautiful wife, Stephanie, who he lovingly refers to as his bride when she calls his cell, have deeply rooted themselves into our community with an honest commitment to make our community flourish and thrive. And they are continuing the cycle of goodwill by instilling a sense of community and compassion in their 5 children. For this and for many other reasons, we celebrate you, Bill, William, Billy Fuller. You have many hats, my friend. You're a son, a husband, a father, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, a friend, an entrepreneur, a visionary, a coach, a leader, a mentor, an angel, my fairy godfather. And above all, you're a person who cares. Thank you for all that you've done to make Middleborough a place that we are proud to call our home. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lorna. One of the true highlights of this presentation every year is to welcome back some of our past award recipients who are able to attend and to welcome in our most current honoree. These fine men and women are all pillars of the community and truly representative of why Middleborough and Lakeville are 2 great towns to grow up in and to live in. So I would now like to introduce them to you and ask them to stand up and take a bow as I introduce them. First is our 1994 honoree, Dick Fickett. Dick here? Year 2000 recipient, Darlene Donnelly. A recipient in 2006, accompanied by her husband Roger, Lana Burnell. 2010 recipients, Donald Atkins and Harold Atkins. And honored in 2011, accompanied by his lovely wife Beverly, is Bruce Atwood. A lifelong resident of Middleborough who has known of Bill's stature for many years and who was president of Mayflower Bank, was instrumental in appointing him to the board of directors in 2006, is Ted Pratt, who will now come forward to say a few words.
Just have to make sure I know where Bill is. Bill, where are you? Raise your hand. I can't see it. Where'd he go? Right here. Up front. Good. A couple of weeks ago, Dan Medeiros gave me a call and asked me if I'd be willing to say a few words tonight about Mr. Fuller and the things that he's done for the town. Dan, I did not realize that you'd be reading the New Testament and inventing another 10 commandments for appropriate municipal behavior, but I agreed to do it. And then I admit, I have a liberal arts education. I feel as if I can talk for 5 minutes about almost anything. And then Ms. Burnell comes up and lays a few superlatives on you that I can't even pronounce. But I'll give it a try. I've known Bill for about 30 years, give or take. And Bill, I hope that during the course of my comments that you'll remember that it's never a good idea to spoil a good story for the sake of the truth. Because I might, my memory is not what it was 30 years ago, and I probably will stretch that truth a little bit and remember things the way I remember them rather than perhaps the way you do. Some conversation this afternoon about Thatcher's Row and the fact that Bill now owns it. I still walk it almost every day and I don't pay a toll. But I'm ready, Bill. I'm ready. I've been meaning to trip. I haven't yet. I assume you're insured. So anyway, it was probably 25 years ago one day that I had gone to the town hall for some reason and was walking along Thatcher's Road toward the post office. Mr. Fuller was coming up the other way. We barely knew each other. We stopped. Bill was as opportunistic then as he is today, always looking for a good deal, a good bargain. I worked for a bank at the time that had some foreclosed property on its books. We were looking to sell. Bill and I chatted for a couple of minutes. We cut a deal right there on Thatcher's Row. We shook hands on a deal on Thatcher's Row. Bill was going to buy a piece of foreclosed real estate. Truth be told, I think Bill paid less for it than he might have. In all honesty, I can confirm that we sold it for a lot less, or a lot more than we might have. It was a good deal for both of us, and we shook hands. We didn't bother with the paperwork. 4 or 5 weeks later, I think I called Bill, maybe Bill called me. Are we ready to close? Yeah, we are. Bill came to the office, we closed, no intervening conversations, not a lot of paperwork. It was what we had decided that afternoon on Thatcher's Row. That was my kind of deal, and that was my kind of business partner. Handshake was good enough for me, and it still is with Mr. Fuller. Probably 10 years or so ago, my employer needed some help with a project. Actually, we were running an event. Bill, I'm sorry to remind you of this. I know it breaks your heart. And I don't mean to give anybody in the audience any ideas, but take note. Write this down. My employer was having a party. We needed to avail ourselves of a certain type of skill that none of Mr. Fuller's enterprises possesses. You know, it's called the adult beverage business. We needed some help. I called Bill up. Bill, can you help us? This is what we're thinking about. At the time, I don't think Bill owned a piece of my employer, but he liked the idea so much that he not only provided the services that we required, but he provided them for free. Bill's a good businessman. He's now on my board. Not that there was any quid pro quo or anything under the table, but that was a pretty shrewd investment, Bill. I think you won that bet. And then 5 years ago, I really don't spend that much time out of the office, honest to goodness. But I was walking to the post office yet another day, and Mr. Fuller was walking in the opposite direction, and he stepped in front of me. He said, "Hey, do you have a minute?" "Sure, Bill." "And what am I going to do? I'm not exactly going to plow through you, even if I could. You have a minute?" "Sure. Well, I want to talk to you for a second." He said, "Did you hear about such and such who passed away the other day? What an awful situation, an untimely, unforeseen, unfortunate death. I feel really terrible," said Bill. I said, "Yeah, I think it's awful too." And Bill said, "You know, that poor family, it's such a shock, such a surprise. I'm determined that that family is not going to come out of pocket for these funeral services." Do you remember this, Bill?
Barely.
"I'm determined that this family's not going to come out of pocket for these funeral services." I said, "Okay." I can feel the arm coming, you know, used to it. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm looking for 20 people to give me $500 apiece so that this family doesn't have to pay for these services." He said, "You going to be in on this? Are you going to help me out? Can I count on you for $500? And I said, "Sure. You tell me when you need it. I'll send you a check. No problem." Well, and it was a tragic event. I don't mean to make light of the situation or the circumstance. I note that Bill never called me back. Bill never asked for the money that I had promised him that day. At some point, I probably said, I must have been the 21st contact that day. I just lucked out. I was under the radar. I didn't have to come up with that money. But I think that shows you a little bit about what Bill's about. I never heard anything further. For all I know, Bill fronted the whole amount himself. He never told me another thing about it. Wouldn't surprise me if the whole tab was on Mr. Fuller. That was my kind of deal, and that's the kind of person that I'm proud to know. I think that's the kind of person that Middleborough Rotary Club should be rightfully proud to honor. I could echo comments previously spoken this evening. I could reiterate the fact that Mr. Fuller's a pretty good businessman, that he's pretty sharp when it comes to opportunities. And he is. He's a deliberate gentleman. He's thorough. He's prepared. He's disciplined in what he does and how he does it. And yet he's not afraid to take a risk. But he's measured in his risk-taking. And I know him to be prepared to step away if a certain opportunity gets a bit rich or a bit pricey. I think Bill would rather lose the battle and win the war and live to fight another day. Bill's great on some of these sayings, but he's well versed in the fact that there's no such thing as a bad prophet, that you'll never go broke making a profit, and several others that he's taught me through the years. With respect to the Rotary Club, I note, I think this is the 6th or 7th of these events that I've been fortunate enough to attend, although they've never yet asked me to speak, perhaps never again. But I note that the recipients of this award are changing somewhat. Maybe it's because I'm changing too, I don't know. But seemingly, with all due respect to prior recipients, those who receive this award are seemingly no longer standing at the head of the line as a function of a long and successful career. This is seemingly becoming less of a lifetime achievement award than it is something that recognizes success in progress. And I think that's a good thing. I think Bill continues that trend. Clearly, at his age, Bill's race is far from over. He is not yet at the top of his hill. There are a lot of challenges ahead. There are a lot of good deals to come. There are a lot of things to accomplish, more to do. And Bill, I'm confident that it's kind of a challenge, Bill. I'm confident that in 5 years, arguably, if you do what you should do, then the Rotary Club should be in a position where they have no alternative but to recognize you yet again. So Danny, keep that in mind. Hopefully he keeps this up. And at the same time, somebody mentioned, God bless, years ago, beginning of my career, I was blessed to be a Rotarian. Not in this club, and I've never admitted it publicly. I have no interest in joining. You're far too young and vibrant for me. And I can't stand the weekly attendance requirement anymore. But somebody mentioned earlier the service above self point of view, and Mrs. Brunel commented upon it with regard to Mr. Fuller's contributions. There are a lot of younger recipients of this award. There are a lot of very well-intentioned members of the Rotary Club. Clearly, there are a lot of altruistic, well-intentioned folks in the audience. Bill among us. My comment on behalf of Mr. Fuller, who I think is genuine in his interests. Bill's not adverse to a good profit, but I think his motivation is a dual circumstance. I think he tries to do the right thing the right way the first time for the right reasons. So to those of you who are prior recipients of this award, to those of you who are members of the Rotary Club, to those of you who perhaps look to Mr. Fuller for inspiration or an example, I would say keep going. Keep succeeding. Keep trying. Keep trying to make things better. Keep trying both literally and figuratively to do the good works that we're here recognizing Mr. Fuller for this evening. And in the process, literally and figuratively, helping to improve the town or towns in which we live and work. So congratulations to Mr. Fuller. Congratulations to Mrs. Fuller, because I recognize that much of what we're talking about doesn't come without substantial sacrifice on her part. To Bill's kids, take a good look. Take a good look. It's worth remembering. So congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted. Take a dessert with you. We have pins generously donated by Steve Stanley, which is symbolic of this evening's award. All past recipients have received them, and I'd like to present one to Bill, along with a framed poster of the ones we circulated throughout the community to publicize tonight's event. And this is the poster. I'd now like to welcome to the podium a gentleman who has known our honoree for many years. He played football along with Bill for the Middleborough Cobras, as well as coaching the team for several years, and he's now the managing partner of the Central Cafe, Mark Hannon.
Just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's a great crowd, great showing. When Dan called me, he reiterated, not the first time he called me, but the second time also, that it was a 1 to 2 minute speech. I don't know what the hell that was all about, Ted, but maybe it's a math thing, my watch stopped, I don't know, but whatever. You want a great speech? Ted, what the hell was that? Anyways, it's a pleasure to be here. Obviously, you heard all the things Bill has achieved in his life up to this point. And, you know, one of the things that I'm embarrassed about, quite frankly, is, and I'm sharing this with Bill for the first time, is a lot of times when people come into the Central, you know, we're open 7 days a week, the whole 9 yards, and, you know, I get a chance to rub elbows with a lot of people and say hi to them and introduce myself for the first time. And they'll look at me and they'll go, so you're the younger of the two partners? And I'll go, no, no, don't tell Bill. But actually, he's a lot younger than I am, but that's just the way it works. Sorry, Bill. You know, 5 kids in the whole 9 yards. Look, I mean, take a look. But anyways, a little history here. Bill and I were teammates for the Middleborough Cobras. We played actually 1 year together. And then several years later, I became one of the coaches there, an assistant coach, and Bill continued to play. He's played more years for the Middleborough Cobras than anybody else in history, contrary to some other people's belief. But that's a little between me and Bill. But the bottom line is that's how I met Bill. And we didn't hang out together. We do have an age difference. Actually, my wife at the credit union met Bill, and she worked with Bill on a weekly basis as he recommended financial support for different people, whatnot, that came in there. And as I was coaching the Cobras and Bill was doing his thing and Central was open and I'd go there after Cobras games and whatnot, I found out that he was looking for a partner. Well, 11 years ago, this May, Bill and I became partners. We became great friends as a result of that partnership. I didn't know what kind of guy he was. I watched him play high school football, and you know, I worked for Paul right out of town, and so we didn't really know each other. But when I got to know him, I got to know Steph, I got to know the kids. They're like family to me. And he has done a lot for this town. He's done a real lot for this town. I love his brother Rick. Doesn't say much. He's the quiet guy in the family. I worked with Carol at the Central Cafe for years. She still works at the Central. She'll tell you different. Morg works with us now. Willie has refused to work with us so far. I'm afraid when Harry's going to start working for us. That's neither here nor there. And what happened was we became partners, and you know, it just became a great friendship. And Bill is a very giving person. He's a very caring person. He's very, very smart. He does think about what he does before he does it. He does his homework. We had 2 minutes, Ted?
You're done, Mark.
2 minutes? Okay, let me just wrap it up by saying, Ted, what the hell was that all about? But anyways, I have to tell you, I have to share one story with you. Our partnership did almost end, quite frankly. A couple of years into it, I was the head coach of the Middleborough Cobras, and we were having a problem with our offensive line. And I had to come to Bill and pull him aside and say, Bill, I know you've been playing the guard, offensive guard all your life. You're an all-star in high school. You're All-American at Westfield State. You've been playing for years. I played with you. You're doing a great job. But I need you to play center. And Bill, being a smart guy, knowing the game of football, being a team player, said, okay. Didn't like it. Looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, well, Bill, I really need you to play center. And everything was fine, I thought. Then a couple of days later, I went to the Central Cafe, and Carol was working. And she looked at me and said, center? I'm not even going to bother going to watch him play anymore. And I said, Carol, but it's very important. And she goes, center? He doesn't belong at center. And I went, oh my God, is this going to end our partnership? And she said, all right, I'll go to the games. Bill said, okay, I'm good with it. And everything worked out fine. Again, Dan, thank you. This is a great job tonight. I appreciate it, and all the people that helped you do it. Bill, my utmost respect for you.
Thank you.
You're a great partner. You're a great friend. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mark. We have a young lady in the audience this evening who's a legend in the town of Middleborough. She's a former selectwoman, a former town treasurer, and a longtime Rotarian. I'd like to ask for a round of applause for Ellen Grant. Ellen's back there. Stand up, Ellen. Our next guest speaker is also well known by everyone in the community. Among other things, she serves on the Historical Commission and the Soul Homestead Board of Directors. She's a two-time president of our Rotary Club. She's the editor of the Middleborough Gazette, and she knows a little bit about Bill Fuller. So Jane Lopes, will you please come forward?
I'd like to welcome you all to the Rotary Awards breakfast. It's tomorrow morning. First of all, I'd like to say that Billy Fuller would not be sitting here tonight if I didn't give him his first break with that Money Matters column in the Middleborough Gazette. Am I right? Okay. When I was asked to say a few words about Bill Fuller tonight, it seemed like an easy task. After all, Bill's well known, everybody in the room knows him. I've known him myself for years. I wasn't going to say how long I've known him because I still lie about my age, but it's been a while. But when I sat down to write something about, I realized that Billy Fuller was actually a mystery to me when I first knew him. For the longest time, to explain, let me go back to the beginning. When Bill first appeared in the offices of Anderson Cushing Insurance, our office was across the hall, and I'd spot him in the hallway. And I knew who he was because he and his brother Rick were members of Middleborough's favorite sports team, the Cobras. He was a jock. Obviously, he was a jock. But when we asked about this new guy on the Anderson Cushing team, we were told he was selling green investments. Who knew that he was a tree hugger? So then I ran into Bill in his next incarnation as the new owner of the Central Cafe. Now that made sense, football and beer, okay? Jocks and the Central Cafe. But then I found him at the town hall. He was making plans to restore the front of the building that's been home to the Central for close to 100 years. And then I couldn't help but notice that the history of the restaurant was on the new menus. Now this guy is a tree hugger, a history buff, a preservationist. Well, there is that one side of the building that he never did finish. Over and over again through the years, Bill has surprised me. His makeover of the West Side School, it's a home for his family, and now what's now the Burtwood School, it's nothing short of labors of love. And Thatcher's Row is once again the quaint, photogenic spot in the downtown business district that it once was, because, well, clearly that goes beyond a good business deal. Actually, I guess it's pretty simple. Beneath that gruff and businesslike exterior is, well, a grouch and an obsessive compulsive. But there's also that fellow who loves his town, cares about the environment, and understands what's important in life. He's the guy we're honoring tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. An evening such as tonight requires a lot of assistance. I'd like to thank those Rotarians who have helped me, Charlie Pina, Willie DeFilly, Sue Akalita, and my wife, Mary Ann. If you'd all stand up and take a bow, please. And we have a young lady in the audience who would like to say a few words. Olivia Fuller, would you like to come to the podium?
What? I need the bag. As we all know, I am the favorite. And I was never asked to make a speech about my father. I've known Bill 14 years. And in those 14 years, I have learned that if you kiss up well enough, I get a head start on the will. So I'm going to start with this speech. This night is slowly coming to an end, but as I said, as I feel as the favorite daughter, I should say a few words about my father. I will start off by stating that he dislikes about 87% of you in this room. And it's not my fault, it's just that his bucket is full. But there are ways to get into the bucket. You have to like beer, you have to like Bill, and you kill whoever is in the bucket. But since this is the 21st century, I will say that he loves you all. But as you can see, it takes a while for my father to come around to the 21st century. It takes him a while to get around for quite a lot of things. Take some time to find that t-shirt he wore in the 80s, make sure it's clean. Take some time to make sure that 80s t-shirt that he bought from Rich's department store is clean. And this one, I am very proud of. It took him only about a few dozen things of beer in 18 years, but he got all 5 of our names right. I'm Olivia, by the way. You see, him being a bartender does have a lot of perks. But this is one of his many hidden talents of being a bartender. And there is one person in this room who gave him that big push. His motivation. What else did I write? His motivation, his best friend, and most intimate partner, Officer Robert Ferreira. Kidding. I really mean his mother, Carol. Come on, Graham. Now, I know you all think you know the real Bill Fuller, but you don't. I have to live with that. In reality, my father is jobless. He sits in his office, shuffles money around on a board, buys houses on boardwalks, and gets out of jail for free. My father's the Monopoly man. But as I said, you think you know the real Bill Fuller, but you don't. Do you know that he's dropping his deeply immense Monopoly career to become a deacon? I'm kidding, he worships himself. If you really know my father, and I feel bad for all of those who actually do know his big speech, you can ask him any question, and this is his answer. I am Bill Fuller, 250 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. Every woman's dream, every man's nightmare. You know why, boy? 'Cause I'm an agile, versatile, mobile athlete. All women want me. They can be blind, crippled, and crazy. And with this, I give the Monopoly man his own present. Welcome to the IT part of the day.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you, Olivia. Before I forget, I'd like to publicly thank the entire staff at the Fireside Grill, including banquet manager Michael Warren and all the waitresses for the excellent service and a fine meal. We have a round of applause for them, please. And now the time has come to welcome to the podium our honored recipient, Bill Fuller.
Thank you. Not that easy. Dan did a nice job, and thank you for everyone for coming. And Olivia, we'll discuss more when we get home. I did not prepare a speech. A fellow recipient had called me up, said, "You know, Bill, first of all, she said to me, if you wear dark colors, you won't look as portly on television." Thank you, Lorna. I'm sure that's not going to work. But anyways, I didn't prepare anything because I wasn't really sure what to expect. It was a very nice evening, and I'm humbled. My best guess is that Punk Pretty and Spike Burns both had previous engagements, so he had nothing else to do. And here it goes. Oh, I don't have a speech. No, I don't have a speech. This is these are copious notes taken during the event. No, I'm saving her for the end. I'm actually humbled by the recognition, but unfortunately for most of you, I'm not rendered speechless. So I want to talk a little bit about the diverse group of people that's in this room. And that's what I was afraid of. I'm going to kind of come around full circle for you, if you will, but I always want you to think about there's a theme through this, which is surround yourself. So what I want to tell you about is that I noticed right away that there's two distinct groups of people in this room. There's those of you who think you know me, and then there's those of you that do. So I thought it would be fun to kind of have the wait staff go around and listen to your conversations with all the embellishment that Dan was throwing on me. And I'm going to come back to that because some of your sayings are actually here on this piece of paper, and I think it's going to be funny. We'll play the game. Those of you who do know me, and those of you who think you do. So I'm going to take us back in time, and I'm going to kind of bring it up with a couple of quick stories. I'm not a very good public speaker, and I'm shy, but I'm going to do the best that I can. I want to talk to you about the community, about the town of Middleborough. Does anybody remember the magazine National Lampoon? National Lampoon magazine. I'm going to tell you a quick story. 1982, two writers for National Lampoon magazine left Boston to head to Cape Cod. It was in the winter, and they actually broke down on Route 28 in South Middleborough. And they wrote about it. Jump ahead. August 1983, the Fuller family, Mom, Rick, Dad, and myself, piled ourselves into Dad's pickup truck to drive to Westfield State College. It was opening football camp, and I had to attend. It was probably the second week of August or something like that. For a trip like that for the Fullers to make, you know, very similar to the Clampetts heading out, we piled in the pickup truck, two in the front, two in the back, and off we went to school. My dad's been gone for a while, but he was a very small guy. Little guy, probably not much shorter than Harry, actually. And off to school we went. So my father was, you know, somewhat guarded and reserved. We drove the 120 miles to Westfield, pulled into campus. My dad parked the truck. I got out of the back. I was getting my gear out of the back. My father looked to the left, and there was a gentleman by the name of Jeff O'Rourke. Jeff was also a freshman, except he was 6'3", 290 pounds. To my right was a gentleman by the name of Ron Parrish. Ron was from the city of Lynn. You don't come out the way you came in. And he was not opposed to the fact that steroids were not illegal in 1983. And he was on my right. As I was getting my equipment out of the truck, I was bent over like this. My father, who said very few words, actually less than my brother, if you can believe it, walked up to me very quietly. He said, "Get back in the truck." I said, "No, Dad, I'll be okay." And he looked at this guy, and he looked at the guy. He said, "No, son, get back in the truck. I'll take you home." I said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine. Everything will be all day." And that same day, and I'm coming around full cycle here for you, I'm somewhat long-winded, is they line you all up, all the new players, and they put you in an auditorium, and they go around and they ask you, "Where are you from?" So you're a bunch of guys you never met. There's seniors, juniors, freshmen. There's probably 80, 90 guys in there, just arriving on campus, and they sit you down, and they say, "Okay," they go right up and down the rows. Well, the guys in front of me were, the first guy up, about 4 seats down, stands up. "I'm from Duxbury. Played 4 years. I looked at him and said, "Oh, Jesus Christ." He sat down. Next kid got up. "I live in Andover. I went to St. John's Prep. I started for 3 years. Oh, shit. Next guy next to me, from Brockton. 3-year starter. By the way, we just won the last 2 Super Bowls. They're all telling the coaches. Coach looks at me and goes, "Hey, where are you from?" "I'm from Middleborough, Mass. Voted the 5th most boring place in the United States of America by National Lampoon magazine." True story. Surround yourself. Remember, there are those who think they know me and those who really do. While you're all eating dinner, the waitstaff was listening, and I asked them to bring me back some notes, and I kind of wrote it down, so it's a little bit scribbly here, but I think you'll get the point. Some of the people were saying, "Geez, Fuller, he's kind of kind in the way he speaks to people." Some people on the other side of the room said, "I think he's rather condescending." There's a group in here somewhere that said, "Geez, he's careful with the words he chooses, and he's quite reserved." There were those of you that thought I was brash, cocky, and bold. I think they call those antonyms, I'm not sure. Ted, could you correct me on that? You are the walking thesaurus. Thank you. There was another one out here, said, "Geez, he seems pretty humble up there." One of you wrote, "Bullshit, he's arrogant." Some table, I'm not sure. I think it's them over there. "He's courteous, polite, respectful young man." Somebody wrote back, I think they sit over there, I actually find him sarcastic, caustic, and somewhat saucy. Now, the theory here is to surround yourself. We talk about a community, you talk about the people that you hang out with. An example, as both groups in this room may look at some of the things that were discussed about my obvious greatness, and I like to prefer it now as my living eulogy, Dan, thank you very much. We look at it from a different perspective. There was a lot of talk about real estate. Those who think they know me, how nice of him to fix up the abandoned buildings and reinvigorate the downtown. Then there's those of you that do. Did you know that he found $60,000 in gold coins in the basement of the Central? I don't know who came up with that one, but it was only $30,000 and they were drachmas, and they're not worth anything right now. Somebody said, did you know that after buying the West Side School for $17,000, he asked for a real estate tax abatement because he thought he overpaid? I don't know who did that one. And then the other one says, that bottom fishing son of a bitch has lowballed another seller. Now he will try to convince all of us trade people to help out with the hometown discount. Two schools of thought on how you look at things, I guess, and that's why I'm trying to bring you all together under one umbrella. There was comments about the Central Cafe. Those of you who think you know me, how nice it must be to have his mom work at the Central all those years. Those of you that do know me thought the following. Do you know that he gave his mother only 2 days a year off? Christmas and his birthday. Do you know that he convinced her to work the first 10 years as part of a maternal obligation? Do you know that he said upon her demise he would have her stuffed and mounted behind the bar to watch over things in perpetuity? Again, I'm not sure what side of the room you folks sit on. I'm just repeating back what I was given. There's been a little bit of mention about, and very little, very briefly, about leisure time. Well, I like to spend leisure time up in Maine. It's a good friend of mine that's down here right now, and he could appreciate this. So those of you who think you know me would say, geez, how nice is it for Bill to invite all those people to come up and hang out in Maine. It must be really nice to all rest and relax together. Now, those of you that really do, I wonder what kind of free labor project he has in mind now. He already surrounded himself with builders, plumbers, electricians. Don't be surprised if he invites a dentist and a chiropractor to round out the portfolio of services. You people really think that? That is awful. Another topic that came up, something, I hope you learned something about this, Willie, they talked about football. And you know I wasn't going to let it go without saying a couple things about football, a game that I really enjoyed. Those of you who think you know me might say this. How nice it was to learn what a good football player he was. He must have really used his skills to achieve that much. Those of you that do, look at him. He wasn't going to be a cross-country runner. One of you quoted, willing to run into somebody full speed with your head does not make you an athlete. Somebody wrote, the more I think about it, he may have been the dirtiest, cheapest player out there, held on every single play and hit after the whistle. And this one's very succinct. He was a dink. Well, you know, there was only a couple more things here, and it kind of comes around full cycle, if you will. There were some comments about my coaching technique. Those of you who think you know me, how nice of him to volunteer his time and teach the kids how to play. What a nice role model he is to the youth. Then there's those of you who know me. Do you think he was talking about my son when he said, you can't coach stupid? I don't know who said that. Do you remember having a team meeting and him looking us straight in the eye and said, ladies, size matters. Surround yourself with good people. It's the moral of the story. I knew I wasn't going to be valedictorian, nor was I going to be a coach. I knew I wasn't going into public safety, nor was I going to be in the health field, nor was I going to be a tradesman. I did realize quickly that if I surrounded myself with great people, I could succeed. Surround yourself. That's what it's all about. I didn't do any of this on my own. A lot of good people helped me along the way, and I want to thank them. Just very briefly, if I may. If I leave a few people out, I'll sum it up at the end. John DeMasso, I'd ask John to stand up. Even if he did, you couldn't see him anyways. He's about that tall. He was the first guy that gave me a loan at 21 years old. I told him I would pay him, and I did. Wasn't always easy, but he remembered that for a long time. Lorna Brunel taught me about the arts. Your effort is superb. You do exactly what you said you would do. Makes my job that much easier. Thank you very much. Ted Pratt, the only guy I know to use the word ubiquitous in a sentence and know how to use it correctly. Thank you for having confidence in me. I appreciate it. My main gang, you're all here. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to try to be delicate with this. You're here for a reason. Brian, Perfect Hair Cave. Todd, 2 o'clock Colorado time DiBiase. John, I can't quite reach into my pocket Bourgette. George Randall, the only guy with a body uglier than mine. Sorry, George. Josh, never met a yard tool he couldn't break. Todd, Mountain Dew, McNeil. Tim O'Toole, always in reverse. And of course, we all know our favorite, Russ Coletti, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, guys. You bring a lot of joy to things I otherwise would not have. The other woman in my life, Nicole. It's not a secret anymore, dear. They know all about us. Thank you for years of friendship and support. You're an excellent friend and a great employee. Thank you very much. Mark Hannon. Nothing to say. Bobby Ferreira. Ditto. Brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, you've tolerated me for a lot of years. I appreciate it. Obviously, you boys are intimidated me when I showed up in Brockton. My charm and good looks and my obvious physique intimidated you all. I'm glad I've softened you down over the years. Thank you very much. Kathy and Ken, terrific in-laws. Kathy, I don't know how you do it. We all had father-in-laws, and I will tell you a quick story about mine. No, it's not that one. I do want to say that, Ken, over the years, you've given me a lot of advice on things from the very beginning. And what I quickly realized is that if I do the exact opposite, it works great for me. Thank you very much. My brother Rick, man of few words. I know that you know more than you speak. I'm proud of your accomplishments and your family. Mom, I'm not going to choke up. 3 things, Mom. Envelopes, standing up for myself in the 3rd grade. Awkward silence. That was a joke, thank you. And work ethic, thank you very much. The kids, here we go. Willie, I talked about being a valedictorian. I don't think he got a shot at it. Brutally honest, that's just the way it goes, kids. You've already known that over the years. Olivia, I'm coming to you, don't worry. Keep your word. Don't bite off more than you can chew. There's a lot of Fullerisms that you get all the time. Try hard at everything you do, and remember, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. Just keep biting. Steph, enough said, dear. My closest and probably only shot at getting to heaven is the fact that I married you. That's it. That's a wrap, folks. Thank you very much. I appreciate the award. Very kind. It was a lot more than I expected. You did a fantastic job, and thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh, please.
No. Well, we all know the saying that behind every great man there is a great woman. And in Bill's case, there's always been someone quietly in the background who has given him the support, given him the confidence, and given him the contentment that is so important in one's married life. And that person is his wife of 24 years, Stephanie Fuller. Stephanie, come right up here. We want to give you what we call our Woman Behind the Scenes Award.
Thank
You
you.
certainly deserve it.
Thank you.
And a bouquet of flowers.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
Stephanie Speech.
Honey, I'm very proud of you.
I lost my last notes, but here it goes. There is one other lady out here tonight who has known Bill his whole life, and that's his mother of 48 years, Carol Fuller. Carol has done an outstanding job as Bill's mother and also as Rick's mother, and we want to give a token of appreciation to Carol, too, if you'd like to come forward.
Easier said than done. Maybe it's better come to
I'll come to you. Sure.
I don't want to embarrass myself. So.
This completes our evening, but I just want to mention one thing. Darlene Donnelly, who's done an outstanding job every year of putting the centerpiece together for us, she's also donated every centerpiece at the table. And I want to thank Darlene for that. If we could have a round of applause for Darlene. And at each table, whoever's birthday is closest to November 13th today can take it home. Okay? And that completes our evening festivities. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and have a safe ride home. Thank you.